So when we think about, the reasons that we might hurt somebody in the martial arts, and I don't mean like ourselves or our training partners, I mean, when we're expressing our skills in real life in a real critical situation, it's it's easy for us to kind of forget the sort of psychological cost that those sort of practices have. The practicing of them, the studying of them, the expression of them, the feeling of them, the visualization of them, and also the challenges that come when we are in the middle of imperfectly learning and practicing them, and you're doing the move and you hurt your partner because you're working on something, you're learning it, and that can have a psychological cost. And so we have some psychological resource which is to some extent used up thinking about punching people and getting punched and choking somebody and breaking somebody's knee and stabbing somebody, all the things that might happen in martial arts. So it's important to remember that as martial artists, because as you get more and more inured to it, familiar with it, comfortable with it, it becomes a language that you're relatively comfortable with. And particularly I see this happen when somebody new joins and you kind of forget that it's not an ordinary human thing to grab somebody's arm and throw them on the ground. You do it in class every week and you're happy and you know how to do it and you know why it's important and you can give me a bunch of reasons to do this move. But it can be really helpful to pay attention to, okay, this is a new thing and it's different and it challenges somebody's sort of psychological worldview of ordinariness. So we'd like to, appreciate that, be aware of it, honor it, and not just make presumptions. Particularly because people that are maybe psychologically stressed from that may not show it. So they might just kind of be quiet or say yes or uh-huh, but they're really actually kind of flustered or reliving a trauma or overthinking it or hesitating or concerned. And they might kind of take a read that, well, I guess nobody's acting concerned around here. Nobody's asking, I'll just shush. So that's important to do. To kind of flip this psychological thing on its head or look at it another way, when we're using these skills in a real life encounter, a real situation, you might think that, I don't ever want to hit somebody, I don't want to ever hurt somebody, I don't ever want to throw somebody, I don't ever want to be aggressive towards somebody, right? And that's a sensible and somewhat common point of view. It's not for me to say if it's right or if it's wrong. For one, we don't really know how true that is until the moment comes, but we can fairly hold those understandings and beliefs, and that's fine. But I would say that if somebody is in a conflict with you, it could be a few somebodies, but I'll just picture, two people having a wrestling, whatever, fighting over something. You may say, I don't want to hurt somebody, I might not want to fight somebody. But the skills that I've learned in martial arts, which involve twisting a wrist and breaking an elbow and punching a rib and sweeping somebody to throw them and all these kind of biting them, whatever these skills might be, just because we employ these skills doesn't mean that our driving intention is to hurt or indeed to maim or to kill. So if we recognize that the intentions that drive the expression of these skill sets do not have to match with the possible outcomes of expressing these skill sets, right? So if I sweep you and hit your head and you're knocked out, that doesn't mean I intended to knock you out. It meant that I was sweeping you so your hands couldn't keep choking me. I was trying to get your hands away from my neck, and it turned out you got knocked out. Now, if we're studying, we'd like to be kind of aware of the possible outcomes of our actions, among them somebody hitting their head. when they take a fall. Okay. But just because this is a punch to the face doesn't mean I'm trying to knock somebody out. Although I certainly could knock somebody out. Just because it's a punch in the ribs doesn't mean I'm trying to, deflate their lung. Just because I'm kicking in the knee doesn't mean I'm trying to, dislocate their knee, give them an embolism, have that lead to a stroke, and they're in a wheelchair. I was just kicking their knee so that they, couldn't hold the rifle steady or whatever. So one of the things I want to just kind of suggest is that one really valuable driving intention behind the expression of the skill sets that we have is to distract somebody from what they're doing. So I may be punching the guy in the belly. That doesn't mean I'm trying to injure him, although obviously I could. It could be that I'm trying to get him to focus on that instead of the thing he is doing, which is trying to aim his gun at me. So recognizing that the employment of our skill set in service of distraction is a valid function and a somewhat regular reason to bring about, give our skills physical life, I think is really important. So somebody that's already on top of you and choking you, you might have thought you were going to de-escalate and create space and do a cool Aikido move when they got close, but you're not the only person that gets a say in how this goes. And you might have misjudged and they might have been a little faster and you were slightly distracted, but the point is, at this moment, they're on top of you, 2 hands on your neck. I might then reasonably say, I need to distract them from what they're doing, which I don't like, and I need to create pain, right? Or I need to create imbalance so that their focus is on recovering balance, shrinking from the pain, holding the thing that hurts, starting to defend against more pain, so that their resources get reallocated away from the thing they're doing, which is holding the gun and pointing at me or choking me or what have you. So the value of distraction, I think, is one that people often underestimate when they sort of fantasize or imagine how they might use their skills or how they might not and when it could be.